Time Warner Cable is pleased to be an underwriting sponsor for Carolina Week.
Coming up on the November 29th edition of Carolina Week.
I'm Justin Smith. I'll show you what the university's 50-year construction plan means for students and the school's reputation.
I'm Jessica Floyd. Chapel Hill's most infamous cold case is more than 40 years old, but police say they haven't given up.
In sports, beating Duke in football is second only to beating Duke in basketball, but it is just as satisfying. I'll have the highlights of Saturday's shootout coming up.
Weathercaster Johnny O joins us with your Carolina Week 4-day forecast.
All that and a man who collects fog. Carolina Week starts right now.
From the School of Journalism and Mass Communication at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, this is Carolina Week.
Hello and welcome to the Wednesday edition of Carolina Week. I'm Kate Schoen.
And I'm Alex Villarreal. We begin with a very strange theft on campus. Many of us catch up on the news by reading the DTH before class. But this morning, very few copies of the campus newspaper were available. Shortly after the Daily Tar Heel went into stands across campus, someone made off with 10,000 copies. Staffers reprinted about 3,000 papers later in the day. Police are looking into the case, and DTH editor Joe Schwartz says some people think a front-page story led fraternity members to take the copies.
Since we ran a lead front story today about Sigma Chi having several hazing violations and their punishment from that on the front page, that it would make sense, they say, for Sigma Chi to have taken the paper. But there was a similar story about Sigma Nu and some of the violations they had and some issues with their charter, and that they took the papers and police actually found them in their fraternity house.
The Student Press Law Center investigates about 20 such cases on university campuses each year.
It's nearly impossible to walk through campus without running into construction, and there's more on the way. Carolina Week's Justin Smith joins us in the studio with more about UNC's master plan. So Justin, how long will this construction last?
Kate, administrators say construction on campus peaked this summer, but work will continue for years. This is UNC's master plan, and these brown buildings, they're proposed. If they're built, bulldozers and jackhammers will continue to be common sights on campus.
Carolina View books show pictures of azaleas at the old well and students sitting in the grassy quad. They don't show a picture of orange barrels, porta-johns, and other signs of Carolina under construction. But for students like Hunter Deefus, the detours are part of everyday life.
It's a little bit of a hassle. You have to kind of change your routes up every now and then.
Associate Provost Steve Allred says in order to attract top students and faculty members, the university must build new facilities and renovate old ones.
If we don't do that, we don't attract new faculty, we don't attract great graduate students, we don't do research, so we don't get the federal funding dollars, we become a less competitive university.
A master plan outlines campus construction slated for the next 50 years. This year, UNC is asking the state legislature for $700 million to fund building projects. The university will also use private funds. Officials say individual donations were key in the renovation of Memorial Hall.
We sold an awful lot of those seats for $5,000 per person, people putting their names on the seats, in order to create a world-class venue.
Construction is underway on a music building that will complement Memorial Hall. Planners say the new building will reflect the style of the buildings around it. They've learned from past mistakes. Buildings that look out of place, like Davey Hall and the old dental school, are to be avoided.
Hopefully, 50 years from now, people won't look back and say, what were they thinking? What were they doing?
Allred says 50 years from now, the main campus won't look dramatically different than it does today. Most of the development now will focus on Carolina North. It's a research campus that will allow researchers to work, study, and live in the same place. Kate?
That's Justin Smith live in the studio. Thanks, Justin. One of the first parts of that 50-year plan is a new science facility. Phase 1 of the Carolina Physical Science Complex is Chapman Hall. Other than some last-minute landscaping, the building is ready for use. Alumnus Max Carroll Chapman Jr. donated $5 million to help fund the complex. It features state-of-the-art lecture halls, lab safety equipment, and a walkway connecting to Phillips Hall. Junior chemistry major Brandon Smalls says he's excited about the new building.
I mean, it's great. It's much better than Venerable. Venerable a little bit old. It's kind of hard to move in the seat, so you be smacking people with book bags, sitting on them, just trying to get through. So, I really like it.
The second phase of the science complex will involve demolishing Venable Hall to make room for new buildings.
TV shows such as Cold Case and CSI give hope that new technology will solve old cases. Jessica Floyd has been looking into a Chapel Hill case that's 4 decades old. Jessica, what have you found?
Alex, the lack of clues in this case was puzzling in 1965, and it remains puzzling today.
Well, we were shocked. I remember that.
They didn't tell me
And it happened right behind Howell Hall.
41 years ago, a killer murdered a student on UNC's campus. It happened in a place that most students call peaceful, the Arboretum. Her name was Sue Ellen Evans, and she was a summer school student visiting Carolina from UNCG.
That crime was so unusual because it was in the middle of the day, and she was apparently walking to or from class. There were people in the Arboretum walking around. No one apparently witnessed it. So it was random violence that was very different from the kind of community in which we thought we lived.
Police didn't find a single piece of evidence, no weapon, no fingerprints, and no one to hold responsible for the crime. The 1965 murder stands in infamy as Chapel Hill's oldest cold case.
We don't have a cold case squad. Felonies are assigned to investigators, and generally speaking, you're going to develop most of your information within the first few weeks.
Curran says the leads are all dried up and the only tangible piece of evidence they have is the paperwork. When I searched through the many documents, I found that the police chief from 1965 and Curran agree about one thing. We have not and will not stop investigation until this case is solved.
Every once in a while we'll pull out an old case like that just to put fresh eyes on it and just to see if there's anything in there that we missed before that we didn't follow up on.
More than 4 decades later, many students like sophomore Jeannie Burnett say they've never heard of the incident and feel very safe in the Arboretum.
You can't go hiking on campus or anything like that, but you can kind of come over here and get a break during the day.
The Arboretum remains an important part of the campus life, and it was all the more startling that such a brutal deed would happen in such a beautiful and quiet place.
And many UNC students can't believe it happened either. Alex, from the very beginning, there was very little evidence with this case, and even with advanced technology, it doesn't help that much.
Jessica Floyd, live in the newsroom. Thanks, Jess.
U.S. Senator Richard Burr often speaks to college crowds about more than Washington politics. His most recent speech at UNC was no different. On Monday, the star senator began his holiday season with a visit to the Alumni Center. There, he lectured on the Southern economy. UNC's Center for the Study of the American South sponsored the event. Burr says North Carolina's economic growth stems from advances in biotechnology. As a result, more local graduates are accepting jobs in the Triangle area than when he was in college.
Well, you want to see the biggest change in North Carolina economy. Just look at this year's graduating class from Duke and see where they signed employment contracts. None of them are going back to New England. They're signing employment contracts in North Carolina. Why? Because the greatest job opportunity is right here in our backyard.
Burr has 2 sons who attend UNC. He says today's college students are the future of the state's economy.
One UNC student doesn't have to worry about his plans after graduation. Senior Ben London has landed the prestigious Rhodes Scholarship. The scholarship funds up to 3 years of graduate expenses at Oxford University in England. London, now a religious studies major, will pursue a second BA in politics and philosophy at Oxford next year. He originally considered teaching after graduation, but now, as a Rhodes Scholar, he'll have the opportunity to find new ways to make a difference in the world.
I know that for the next for the next several years anyway, I want to keep thinking about that. And I think that Oxford will give me a good opportunity to think more carefully about what it means to make a difference and what are some ways that I could maybe best make a difference in the world.
A UNC alumnus, Adrian Johnston, was just announced as another Rhodes Scholar. Johnston graduated in May 2006.
Well, studying in Europe is certainly a wonderful opportunity.
Students can immerse themselves in the culture and work of European artists.
But you don't have to go to Europe to see great art. When we come back, a look inside Chapel Hill's Ackland Art Museum.
Are your kids getting enough art? Whether through poetry, dance, music, or drama, the arts open the doors to creativity. As a mother and teacher, I know that arts education can help our children develop confidence and a better understanding of the world around them. Even if you have just 30 minutes a week, get your kids more involved in the arts and think about the kind of world we can leave behind for our children and our children's children.
Art. Ask for more. AmericansForTheArts.org.
¿Cree usted que sus hijos reciben suficiente arte? Ya sea a través de la poesía, el baile, la música o el drama. El arte abre las puertas de la creatividad. Si usted tiene solamente 30 minutos en la semana, integren a sus hijos en el arte. Arte, pide más. AmericansForTheArts.org.
It's easy to lose yourself in a great work of art. Angela Watson shows us a place that houses everything from classic European art to more contemporary pieces.
Behind these elevator doors is a world filled with relics from Asia and paintings from Europe. If you like photography, sculpture, or contemporary art, it's all here. The Ackland provides an array of art of different styles and genres and appeals to a diverse audience. Director Emily Cass says the museum is always changing to keep up with the latest trends in art.
Visitors will see a different exhibition every 2 or 3 months. So if you've been to the Ackland once and it hasn't been for a while, you need to come back.
And right now, like this group of students, you can come to the museum to see exhibitions of Islamic art. The art transcends language barriers, and the museum attracts people from different backgrounds and cultures. Cass says the museum is often filled with tour groups and students, and as a result, a new expansion plan is in the works.
Well, we are constantly changing exhibitions, and in fact, we are currently working on a plan that will reorganize many of the galleries and create more space for changing exhibitions.
One thing this museum has that you might not expect is a tomb and monument dedicated to the founder of the museum.
But I think one thing that's really charming about the whole story is he's buried here as well. And I don't know of any museums in this country that have that tradition.
Stop by and bring a friend if you want to see this for yourself, and leave your wallets at home because admission is free. In Chapel Hill, I'm Angela Watson, Carolina Week.
In January, the Ackland will exhibit ancient Indian and Asian art. For more information about the museum, go to our website, carolinaweek.org.
This holiday season, the Moorhead Planetarium will show you the magic of Christmas. For more than 50 years, the planetarium's show, Star of Bethlehem, has explored the mystery of the celestial event that occurred when Jesus was born. Works of art like these appear throughout the show. Upgraded special effects allow viewers to feel as though they're part of the miracle. Marketing director Jeff Hill says the show's success does not surprise him.
We think that it's something that the community has embraced throughout the years because of both its quality and because of the fact that it's something that you can depend on. It's here every year at the same time.
If you're interested in checking out the Star of Bethlehem, the dates and times listed on your screen are also on our website, carolinaweek.org. One UNC's graduate star is on the rise thanks to some amazing photos. Since Amy Vitale graduated in 1993, she has captured images from around the world. Her work has appeared in publications such as the New York Times, Time Magazine, and National Geographic. During a recent talk, she displayed photos from remote and often dangerous countries such as Angola, India, and Israel. Vitale says she hopes her pictures make people aware of the conditions of other places in the world.
The general theme of my pictures is probably just how connected we all are on the planet, and that there's so many issues that are that we really need to pay attention to because our policies really affect the rest of the world. And
to see more of Amy Vitale's photos, you can visit our website at carolinaweek.org.
Car maintenance is important throughout the year, but especially important during the winter months. You should check your oil and brakes on a regular basis, and don't forget about your tires. Highway safety officials say more than 27% of cars on the road have one or more underinflated tires. Tires can lose pressure each month, and cold weather causes them to deflate even faster. Underinflated tires aren't just a safety issue, they can also reduce your gas mileage. Here are some tips for taking care of your tires this winter. Buy a tire pressure gauge, since the gauges provided at gas stations often give false readings. Read your owner's manual to find out the optimal pressure level for your vehicle's tires, and never trust your tire's appearance. Even tires that look properly inflated could be low on pressure.
We now welcome weathercaster Johnny O. Hi, Johnny. How's it going?
So it's been really warm, unseasonably warm in fact. Is this going to continue?
Well, we might actually see some changes as we approach this weekend. In fact, the weather has been unusually warm for this time of year, but will temperatures like these leaves change as we head into December? I'll let you know when we come back.
It's springtime in the forest of the black-tailed deer. The young male is feeling playful. It's time for tag. The female flicks her ears. Her way of saying, "Catch me if you can."
Hey, Zachary. You looking good?
The odds of a child becoming a professional athlete are 1 in 16,000. The odds of a child being diagnosed with autism, 1 in 166. The odds say it's time to listen. To learn the signs of autism, visit autismspeaks.org.
Hi, and welcome back to Carolina Week. I'm Jonathan O. Here's a look at your weather headlines and see what we can expect during our weather broadcast. First of all, we're going to see more warm continuing throughout the rest of the next couple of days, and then we'll be back to normal as we see temperatures sink back into the mid-50s by Saturday and Sunday, so you're going to have to get those jackets out. And so we'll talk about these two things as well as a look into December, because maybe we might see some snow, maybe not. I'll talk to you about that in just a moment. First of all, let's take a look at your national view. Notice all these rain showers located straight down the midsection of the United States, and some blue areas as well. Some snow is expected over in that area, and we might not see any of that snow because the temperatures are way too warm. But the reason why we're seeing this system, this particular rain system in the midsection of the United States, is because of this huge cold front. Notice how far it comes down. All these green areas are seeing some of that rain. And this low pressure system located right there, that's also some of the snow showers that they're seeing down over in the western section of the United States. What's going to happen is that this is going to arrive around the Kentucky, Tennessee area by tomorrow on Thursday. So by Thursday night, we might actually see a chance of rain as well. By Friday, the front will be way over here over North Carolina, and you'll definitely need your umbrellas by that time. Now, taking a look at the next map, this is a view of the climate for what we expect in December, a trend. This is not a precise forecast, but we can see what we can expect by that time. For us in the southeastern region, notice this white area says EC, equal chances that the temperatures may be below or above average. We're hoping that's below, but it seems like that with the trends we've had, it's going to stay pretty warm. Those south of us will see normal temperatures. Now, we're going to combine this map, or actually move forward to the next map. This is a view of the precipitation. What kind of rain or snow can we expect? Notice that there are a lot of green areas all the way to North Carolina and to South Carolina. So if the temperatures fall just below 32 degrees in the atmosphere, and if this prediction is right in December, we might see some snow. I'm going to go out on a limb and say we probably won't, but keep your eyes tuned here to Carolina Week. We'll keep you up to date if we see any snow showers on their way. Here's a look at your 4-day forecast. Tonight we'll expect temperatures around 52 degrees, which means you need your jacket. And for the next 4 days, this is what you need to keep in mind. Bring your umbrellas with you. Saturday, Also, make sure you have your jackets with you because the temperatures will just bottom out at that time. So make sure you have your jackets with you. If you're headed to the beach, not the greatest weekend to go there because there's going to be a chance of rain on Sunday. But if you're headed to the mountains, this is what you can expect. Beautiful conditions. Temperatures will be in the mid-50s and lows will be in the 30s. So if you want to go and relax away from your preparation for final exams, then, take a hike because it's going to be pretty cool and nice over the mountains.
Well, it looks like we have some nice weather to look forward to. Thanks, Johnny.
You're welcome.
Well, Little Carolina Blue in the wrong students section has cost some UNC students a place in Duke's Cameron Indoor Stadium. Last year, these Robertson scholars snuck their Tar Heel pride into the basketball game by wearing Duke shirts over their true colors. As a result, Duke's student government voted to ban full-time UNC students from camping out for tickets in the area known as Kville. Robertson scholars take classes at both schools but switch campuses for one semester. Junior Alex Snyder was part of the UNC crowd at last year's Duke game. He says it's wrong to make future Robertsons miss out on the experience.
I was just kind of disappointed in Duke, and because I really expected more from them. I did, because the friends I met over there, they were great people, and this kind of decision didn't reflect most of the friends I knew over at Duke and the kind of attitude.
Some Duke administrators say they don't agree with the decision, but it's ultimately up to the student government.
Sportscaster Brandon Curry joins us now. Brandon, this weekend wrapped up the football season.
Football season is over, closing the chapter for John Bunting, but a new era is coming. Coming up in sports, the Butch Davis era has officially begun, and a new attitude is already sweeping Carolina football.
There were many definitions of a Tar Heel. We researched it, and people gave us ideas exactly what it is, but the simple answer that I told him was that a Tar Heel is a winner. Yeah.
Let your knowledge grow at the North Carolina Botanical Garden. Through public service, research, conservation, and education. The garden brings North Carolina's rich natural heritage to you. It's a beautiful way to learn.
Check it out, man. What is that? It looks like someone's belly. Probably lost it walking on the beach.
Man, just leave it. Let's go.
Welcome to Carolina Week Sports Express, making stops at Butch Davis, women's soccer and football. But first, the Duke game. All aboard, whoop whoop! Saturday's win against Duke was about one thing, playmakers. Playmakers like Larry Edwards. Here he is breaking up a pass and making sure Duke knows it. He helped lead a defensive assault, including 4 pass breakups, 3 sacks, and 2 interceptions. Here's one coming up right now. Boom, Duke didn't know what hit him. Other playmakers like Brandon Tate's 97-yard kickoff return with 17 seconds left made it UNC 24, Duke 23 going into the half. Early in the fourth quarter, his 54-yard punt return put Carolina up 38-31 and makes him the 3rd person in school history to score on a kickoff and punt return in the same game. But now let's hear it for Joe Daly. He had 54 yards scrambling, a season-high 253 yards, 2 TDs, and most impressive, only 1 interception. And after a blocked extra point, UNC wins 45-44. When the clock hit 0 on Saturday, John Bunting's career as head coach officially ended and the Butch Davis era began. At a press conference on Monday, Davis was quick to lay out his expectations for Tar Heels football.
I want to be an aggressive team, always on the attack in all 3 phases. No one dictates to us, we dictate to them. I promised those players today that the one thing that I would do is surround them with assistant coaches that truly care about them. I want to score more than the other team every single Saturday. I Here's what I would love for people. When they come to Kenan Stadium, I want them to see a fast, athletic football team, but more importantly, I want them to see a smart football team and a well-disciplined football team. And
For the last 2 seasons, the NCAA Women's Soccer Final Four has been missing something: Carolina. But after missing their first 2 Final Fours ever, the Heels are back in this year's College Cup after rallying to beat Texas A&M 3-2. And after losing its first game to Texas A&M to start the season, the UNC women's soccer team has won 25 straight and is back in the College Cup for the first time since 2003. The Tar Heels have outscored their opponents 20-4 through 4 rounds of the NCAA tournament this year. UCLA is next up for Carolina Friday at 3:30 in Cary. The Bruins have a record of 21-3. Should the Heels win, they'll face the winner of Notre Dame Florida State semifinal for the NCAA title on Sunday. And that is definitely going to be a great game when Carolina makes it to the final.
Exactly. We're excited to see the women play. Thanks, Brandon.
Thanks, Brandon. Well, aloe plants require a lot of water to thrive.
So how does a farmer in Chile raise aloe plants in the desert? We'll have his secret coming up.
If you have a story idea, contact Carolina Week at 843-8292. You can also visit us online at carolinaweek.org. If you have questions about this program, write Carolina Week at Campus Box 3365, UNCCH, Chapel Hill, North Carolina, 27599.
UNC students have many opportunities to travel and study abroad.
Kina Patel went to Chile recently, where she met a man who spends his days chasing mist.
Chile is home to the driest desert in the world, the Atacama. There are some parts of the desert that have never had any recorded rainfall. But many people, like Hugo Streeter Cortez, still call the Atacama their home. 10 years ago, Cortez got the idea to produce water by catching the fog in clouds.
This is a project of faith. When we get up there to see the fog, maybe we won't see anything.
In the coastal city of Chañaral, where Cortez lives, fog is abundant but unpredictable. He set up a system of mesh-like nets on top of a nearby mountain that catch whatever fog is available and turn it into water.
The water drips inside the mesh little by little through a PVC canal to a pipe and continues traveling down the slope until it gets to the bottom and waters the aloe vera and tomato crops that we cultivate.
Even though Cortez uses the collected water only for watering crops at the base of the mountain, it's still clean enough to drink, and Cortez has big hopes for his fog-catching project.
We want to live by ourselves, from our land, because we know that in a few years there are only going to be big holes here in Chile. All the copper, gold, tin, and magnesium will disappear.
One day, Cortez wants to bottle the water the nets capture and sell it. Until then, he has to continue his day job of working at a fish cannery. In Chañaral, Chile, I'm Kina Patel, Carolina Week.
You know, it always amazes me the different ways that people come up with using their resources.
Oh, I agree. And if we're ever thirsty in the desert, we're going to have to remember the ways that Cortez did it.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, well, that does it for this edition of Carolina Week.
Thanks very much for watching. Have a good night.